All right, guys. Um, so I'm here in New York, Long Island, uh, and I gotta tell you, it is weird. It's a weird vibe out here, um, for me. And of course, okay, let's talk about the truck driving aspect of it. The streets here are so narrow, and I mean, you gotta squeeze into the lanes. You gotta uh, trying to make a turn, left or right. It, it's almost impossible. You got to look for the right street to make a turn on. Um, and yeah, there's a lot of traffic all the time. So yeah, New York's not a fun place to drive. That's for sure. And then there's the bridge coming into Long Island. That was crazy. Um, the guy when I was picking up the load to come out here, he was telling me about how nervous he was going over the bridge, and I barely even noticed the bridge, like the height of the bridge or whatever, because by the time I finally realized that I was on a bridge, I was already getting off of it because I was so concerned about the traffic around me and what everybody else was doing, because the lanes, once you go through one of the tolls, they like two or three lanes merge over into one lane, so you have to kind of do that zipper effect, and it's nuts. But yeah. um so I'm not a big fan of New York, but the people here are really cool. um you know, they'll stop and talk to you. It's kind of 50-50. Either they'll stop and talk to you like they've known you their whole life, or they just won't say anything to you. Like, I held a door open for somebody and got nothing. No thank you, no nothing, which is whatever. But I've had a few guys like actually stop and talk to me. They realize that I'm a truck driver, like, oh, where are you driving from? And oh, this is your first time to New York? Oh, well, welcome to New York, and it's cool like that. Um, so I went and bought a gyro from a guy over here, and he like, first time in New York, he's like, I threw a little bit more meat on there for you. I was like, oh, sweet. So, and it was good. It wasn't, I didn't get a typical gyro, euro, however you call it. He called it a gyro, so that's what I'm calling it. Um, it was, I don't even remember what it was called. It was some marinated chicken, tasted kind of like curry, but it was red. It was bomb. It was good. But yeah, so now I'm doing my 10-hour reset, waking up in the morning, and heading back to Pennsylvania. I like Pennsylvania. It's pretty out there, so driving back out there and taking a load to Georgia. I've been wanting to go back to Georgia for a long time. Grew up there, and I kind of miss it. So it'll be interesting. Uh, Heading down there, and then we'll see what happens. This trip, at least this day, today was just hectic from start to go, or from start to finish. Um, I started driving early. I was going to get here with plenty of time, probably an hour ahead of time, and just wait so I'm here. And I ended up getting here right on time. And it wasn't necessarily because of traffic, it was just because you're driving down these narrow roads, for one, concentrating on the traffic and everything. And then the signs are overgrown with bushes. so you can't see the signs. So it's like, because it's not like signs back home where you have your stoplight and then the sign is right there and tells you what street it is. These signs here, they're about 50 feet in front of the stoplight. So first of all, it's kind of, you don't know to look that far ahead or that far behind to look for the street. And I passed the street I was looking for twice. I had to turn around and come back around. And when by the time I finally saw it, it was out my window where the sign was, and it was covered by a bush. I mean, literally, this bush was covered. And of course, the sign is green, and the bush is green. So it was just, so there's that. And then, so I'm about a block away from my drop-off point, and somebody pulls out as I'm driving. They're parked along the sidewalk, and they pull out, and my trailer clipped their mirror. And so this guy chases me down, cuts in front of me, and stops. I'm still in the middle of the street. And I'm like, dude, like, you gotta pull up. Like, pull up and I'll pull over. You know, and he pulls up, but doesn't give me enough room to get out of the street. And then finally I get out of the street, but now I'm blocking a driveway. And I'm like, dude, we have to get off the road. Like, we can't just block the road. So we end up just, since I'm a block away, we end up just going to where I'm dropping off. It's out of the way, it's off the street, and I can get out of the truck. I'm on time, and we do all the paperwork and everything, and yeah. And then I get here, and there's a guy standing outside, and he sees the truck. He's like, kind of points. He's like, "Is that for me?" I was like, "Yeah." It's like, "No." So he wasn't even ready for a load. Like, he didn't order it or something. I don't know. Something got mixed up. He wasn't expecting it. So now I've got all this stuff in my truck, and he has nowhere to put it. So I had to wait like 5.5 hours for them. Well, I had to wait about 2 or 3 hours for them to figure out what they're going to do with it. And then it was another couple hours for them to unload it. So by the time all that was done, I ran out of hours. So I can't get to a truck stop. So I'm sitting here in a parking lot. So that's fun. I just hope I don't ever have to come back to New York. Not because of the people, but the roads here suck. But there was some good scenery along the way. Let me tell you, Pennsylvania was one. And then I stopped in New Jersey last night. That's where I stayed at a TA out there. And oh man, it was freaking beautiful. Just deep, dark greens everywhere. So I kind of took a little hike out in the woods, just because that's, when I was a kid growing up in Georgia, that's where I did. I was in the woods. From morning till dusk, I was in the woods. So I got a little bit of meditation time, I guess you can say, a little me time out in the woods. And yeah. But other than that, I'm kind of excited to get out of here. All right. I guess I just wanted to update you guys, and I will talk to you guys later. Still working on a good lighting plan. Seems like no matter what I do, it just not enough light. And normally, that's not the right one. have it all lit up. Oh, see, I should have done that. But normally I have it lit up like that, and it's still just as dark when you guys see me. So maybe I'll just sit here with all the lights on next time. But, all right, see ya.